Well, I think we've just been joined by Grizzly Smith, who, while not an author himself, he does a lot of podcasting and he reads public domain works. So maybe he has something to say about the art of recording podcasts.
He's like, oh, great.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, put me on the spot.
Sorry. All right, Ems, what did you want to talk about? I'm sorry.
Any other things that you might have to add about podcasting?
Yeah, my phone's ringing right now.
Yeah, Em's got that darn phone.
But Heather, yeah, if you wanted to say anything, about podcasting, I'm going to let you guys do that while I strangle the person that's on the phone.
Sure. Well, podcasting for me has been a great experience. I mean, we talk about how much work it is and how you have to be prepared and you have to make sure you have your book perfect and then get all the equipment and then learn how to do it. And every bit of that is true. But the other thing is there are people who are so generous with their time, so happy to help you out. And then as you're putting it out, as you're doing this work, you get to see an instantaneous reaction. And that's the thing that you forget is you're working alone, you're reading, but as soon as you put that out there, each and every episode, which typically on audiobooks is once a week, you get a reaction, you get comments, you get feedback, you get rated, you get in iTunes and get rated, and you can say to people, yes, I am in iTunes, yes, you can go listen to my book, Mom, Dad, who, stranger, I don't have to know you're doing it, and, you know, it's completely on them to do it, but you know people will listen, because there's a community of people waiting for content, which is a nice feeling instead of having to beg others to read. And then they've heard of you, and you can do a lot of marketing around it. There are all kinds of podcasts that love to talk to authors or bloggers or all of those different communities. What do you guys think, Rhonda and Arlene?
I think we're all in the same kind of place, and Patio Racket is one of those places you can go to get your voice out there as a new author to the patiobooks.com community. And we have a built-in audience as well, but I think that's like one of the very cool things about patiobooks.com is the community and the people who are willing to help and to, you know, tell you what is right and what is wrong with your book, or not with your book so much as your audio, because they're not editors. And editing is a huge deal. If you are not getting your books edited, you need to have your books edited.
One of the things that is really interesting about our world now is that it's become so electronic. The big publishers are now beginning to realize that, and some of them are actually getting into the ebook formats. Audiblebooks.com has been very popular for a long time, and there are many individual authors, single authors that are getting into audiblebooks.com. We're able to do that now through smashwords.com. If our book is in Smashwords, and I'm sorry, patiobooks.com is now taking them to audiblebooks.com. The world is opening up to the e-world, or the e-book and the patio book, and it's just the beginning of this format. And so if you decide to podcast your book or put it out in e-form, you're going to be on the very beginning edge of a big change in format, in publishing formats. I can't recommend it any more than that. Also, being able, while you're podcasting your book, you're actually doing a type of editing. As Rhonda said, it's very important. And if you edit before if you podcast before you actually print your book, you may be able to do some editing to it. You realize that you don't need certain parts or whatever. That's what I did. I actually podcast my book before I published it.
That's
yeah, one of the other things you might want to consider is recording the entire book and then editing it out before you take it to Patio Books, because it never fails. Your first 5 episodes are always your worst episodes. That's where you're learning. It's where you're getting over the learning curve. So podcast it all and then go back and redo your first 4 or 5.
Yeah, because they say that if you get the fans in the first couple episodes, then they'll listen to the whole book. And you also want to make sure that it's all podcasted before you take it there, because you want to release it on a regular schedule. The fans of podcasts, and especially at podiobooks.com, are very, very demanding. Yes, I was going to say needy. They want it, and they want it now. And if you don't come at the certain time when you've said that you're going to put out a chapter each week, and let's say, I don't know, your dog died, your kid's in the hospital, whatever, and you have to stop, you want to be able to run home, put up a episode, and run back to the hospital, because, dang it, those Patio Books fans are more important.
Or they think they are. But it also gives you a breather. It gives you a big, okay, I know that I've got this many episodes done and canned and in the hole, and I don't have to worry about not meeting this weekly schedule. And it is one of the pet peeves for podiobooks.com listeners. If you tell them you're going to put out an episode a week, they expect you, no matter what's going on in your life, to put out an episode a week.
Right.
And even if you decide not to podcast the whole book, just get 4 or 5 episodes ahead so that you can give yourself that little bit of a leeway. I mean, thinking about sitting down and podcasting your whole book before you release it, sometimes you want that gratification to get it out and actually listen to it somewhere else other than your own computer.
Right, and the thing with getting it all done first is better, because, please don't podcast before you have it all written, number one, okay?
Oh, yes.
It doesn't happen. You put too much pressure on yourself. The quality starts going down. And let's say you want to change something in chapter 2 that makes more sense because the end of the book made this change. Well, you're screwed. So get it all written, all edited out before you start. And then when you get it all podcasted, then have the files ready, and there's so much marketing and emails and pushing and all this kind of stuff to do during the book's run, that you want to have this all done and ready before that comes. Because like when I first started podcasting my book Nights, I started coming on SL and started giving talks and such, and then people would invite me to different things, and I would be going to different things at conventions and such, and I had no time to be podcasting during that time because you're just so busy with all the other stuff that comes with it. Now someone asked you a question on the chat. Let's see, let me scroll back up.
It's what's the average length?
It says, yeah, what is the average time of an episode? And everybody's been giving different answers. But yes, the answer is 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes 40 to 45. With the freeform talk show podcast, they can run a little bit longer. But as far as chapter episodes, people like them to be at least 20 and no more than 30, 35, 40. Because usually you're giving a chapter to someone who is either on their lunch break, or they're doing a workout, or they're commuting. So if it's 2 hours long, they have to keep stopping, and then you know how those blasted MP3 players are. You run out of juice in the middle of it, then you never know what minute you were at. You got to skip forward. I mean, it's just a big drama. So make sure that the chapters are around 20 to 35, even 40 minutes, but no longer.